Welcome to Page to Screen, the podcast where Nikki and Kristina discuss books that were turned into movies and films that were adapted from books. As always, we do remind you that spoilers lay ahead. Now, we invite you to decide with us the age-old question, which is better, the book or the movie?
Welcome back to the hardest working podcast in show business. That's probably not true, but for today it is. I don't know why I said today like that. For today it is because ba 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 ba. Wow, it's a Page to Screen podcast. Joining, as always, is my favorite co-host, Kristina the Sailor. Ba 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 ba, because she swears like one. That's her nickname.
I was wondering why I was a sailor.
You're Kristina the Sailor.
I swear like a sailor? What the fuck are you talking about?
Listen, that movie had 168 of them. So
They're Irish. They're my people. They get it.
Jesus.
Jesus. Well, thank you, Nikki the Mouth Scola.
Da, 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 da. If you didn't listen to last week's episode and you can't guess from this opening, because how could you? This week we read and watched The Commitments.
Whoop. Yes, the 1987 novel written by Irish writer Roddy Doyle. It's a very nice, quaint little book about a group of unemployed young people, north side of Ireland, who all get together in a ragtag team to make a soul band.
Kristina and I have been talking about this a lot of bit before we recorded. The book is short.
I'm still suspicious about how short this was, because it's not only short, but what you actually get is pretty threadbare. It's a lot of dialogue. There's not a lot of descriptions of things. It's quite a light reading.
Yeah. I fully intended this to be like a novella, not like a novella, like it was a novella.
Yeah.
I mean, like super novel, like Angela's Ashes, for some reason. And then when you are reading it,
Yeah.
there's Kristina, you said you did the audiobook for this?
Yeah, and it took me a little bit to find it because I found a book online that looked really cute, but there was no way it was going to get to me fast enough. So I had to really search the internet for an audiobook, because it's actually not allowed to be sold in our region. So it's not like on it's not on Audible or anything. I had to find it on a website. So I was very concerned that I had some sort of fake book, because it was so short. And then on top of it, it's an audiobook, and they all have extremely thick Irish brogues, and the way that they talk, it's all very fast. So I'm still not entirely sure I understand.
Well, that's how the book is written. The book is...
Oh, okay, good.
It is written... Well, I sent you a photo, because I sent you a photo of it, and Jesus is spelled Jaysis, Jesus. And I cannot stop saying it like that. Jesus Christ. But the way the book is written is really interesting, because when they start doing song lyrics, it is also written as they are singing it. So some of the words are okay, and then it's almost like new age poetry, the way the style of it when you see it on the pages, because it'll descend. And it's just so a whole page will just be 4 words of a song. And I was like, what is happening with this book? This is so weird. But yeah, it was I enjoyed it, but it was also half the book is song lyrics.
Yeah, and I would say half the movie is song lyrics. Yeah. And I think that talking about the book and the movie at the same time is almost unavoidable, just because they are both very different. They're not the typical type of storytelling, I guess. And it's the way that I would explain it, it's almost like a vibe. It's not necessarily a story. It's not necessarily something that has like a clear cut ending. Even like the ending is a little bit like open book kind of, but instead it's like a vibe. You just kind of step in and you're experiencing the energy of this like young group of people. You're experiencing the wish to create something, and then really like just Irish culture, something that you don't get as much, like modern Irish culture.
These are the type of stories that you and I talk about all the time, where it's like, especially when we talk about biopics for celebrities, where it's like, you just need like a week.
Yes.
One important week in their lives. And this book was literally like, 3 months as a band, and the volatile nature of what can happen in just 3 months. And it's, the way it was done is just, that's all you needed. So, there's this whole open ending, and you're like, what happens to them? Where do they go next? And it keeps you interested in them as a whole. I mean, it's not, I would say the ending to the movie is more satisfactory if you're looking for a real closure. Mm-hmm. But, I do have one question for you, though, Kristina. How old did you think they were in the book?
I thought that they were like between the ages of like 22, 25 is like how I kind of just imagined them. Yeah.
And then was it weird for you to see the ages of them in the movie?
No, I think it's like, I think that the characters in the books, they all have this kind of spirit that it's sort of like how we were talking with, some of like the prior stuff where you just hear someone and you understand them, like you know them. Like we kind of knew that with Danielle in Ever After, or Bridget Jones at the beginning of the movie Bridget Jones. It's like there is something about like the spirit of this like, ragamuffin group of kids that you get, and I think the same thing happens in the movie. Yeah, despite the ages.
I definitely thought they were probably younger in the book. Yeah, and I had. For full, full honesty, I had seen the movie a ton of times, but I had also, I've seen a lot of these films because I love Glenn Hansard, so I've seen once like 100 times. I've seen this one a lot, and recently, within the last, what was it, like maybe 6 or 7 years, Sing Street came out, which if you haven't seen it, you should watch it. It's hilarious.
I have not seen Sing Street.
It is so good. The songs are great. And it's kind of the same situation, but the age group for Sing Street in the movie is kind of where I thought the age group was for the commitments in the book. Because they're all in like what we would call high school. So like 16 to 18 years old. And in Sing Street, basically the premise is this boy falls for this girl that he sees on the street and tells her that he's in a band, but he's not, so he has to create a band because he wants her to be in their music video.
It's funny.
It's so good. It's in cute. the same realm where it's like you have all this like heart. Yeah. I think that's what's so great about this book and the movie is there's so much heart to it. Like you feel for them. You want them to succeed.
And I think that's exactly it, is that it, and that's where like the book is a little bit just different. I won't say weird. I'll just say it's just a different type of like art form. It's a different type of book. Yeah. But what does come through is the heart of it and the drive, I think, just like having these kids and they want to go somewhere else. And I think that the movie does a better job at the ending where they're talking about how they missed their opportunity to become something better. And he said, well, it's more poetic this way. They all have a drive, they all have a longing to do more, and that is the real beauty of it. Instead of just us becoming big, like that's the obvious way for this story to go, but it's better that it started something. And I was like, that's like actually a really beautiful thing, because like I think we're also obsessed with the end of something, but the journey is good too. And this journey, even if it doesn't have the ending that maybe they thought that they would get, it's still like a really cute little story.
Yeah, I think there's more heart in the struggle than there is in the like the ending of it, like because it's true, because I think that's what Joey the Lips. Joey the Lips says that. And it's true because you want to see them succeed and you want to see them at the top. But we all know what happens to idols when they get to the top peak. You don't want to see them fall. And that's the only next step. Every life is like a roller coaster ride of peaks and valleys. And we got to see them at the peak. You know? And then it's up to them to figure out where it goes next. And I like that. I really like that about it.
I don't want to see them, like, where they're getting Botox and they're Scientologists and they vote against human rights because they have a lot of money. Like, I don't want to see that to them.
Yeah, no, I want them to be where they're at. They're good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't want one of them to, like, start trying to sell me stuff on Instagram, you know? Like...
I don't want one of them jumping up and down on a couch and they're married to their 5th Playboy centerfold.
I love that. Are we both talking about Deco at this point? I'm just asking you.
I do think it's funny that, because, you said it's, 3 months, right? It's like this short period of time. And it only takes 3 months for things to go to hell in a handbasket.
Yeah. Because they come together, and it's interesting. I like the way they come together in the book a little bit more than the way they come together in the movie. Mm-hmm. I would say, like, it's weird to put into words, like, because it's kind of the same. It is. You know, he puts the ad in the paper, and all these people show up at his house, and it's just so funny to see them in the film, all these people auditioning. My favorite part is when that guy's like, he's like, well, what do you play? And he was like, well, I played football once in school.
Yeah,
and he's like,
I like that part too.
And he's like, no, like an instrument. I was like, what? And he's like, I'm getting a band together. And he's like, oh, I just saw all these people in line. I thought you were selling drugs.
Yeah, it's so funny. And I love that line there, and that's like the crazy thing about the movie is that there's a lot of really good like one-liners, and I had to watch the movie with subtitles on because like their accents are so thick. I'm really bad at understanding people.
Same.
Yeah, I'm like terrible at it. So I had to put subtitles on, and I'm glad I did because there's so many funny lines. I think it's easy to miss it even if you are not accent challenged the way I am, just because they're so spitfire that I think it's easy to miss some of the funny quotes.
It's the whole film, and that's what I like about the film a little bit more than the book, is that you get to see a little bit more of a wider spread view of what's really going on around them in addition to them forming the band. And then there's also, they injected a little bit more drama, a lot more drama in the movie than they did in the book. The book's kind of lighthearted, carefree. That's why I assumed they were like 16 to 18 doing like these young kids trying to make a soul band, because they do throw around some words that we do not use.
Okay.
A lot. Very carefree way.
And that is something that I want to mention too, because you said that they use the N-word in the book. The audiobook that I listened to, they say the word Negro. And that's not a great word either, but it's better than the other option.
Yeah. No, they went full force in the book.
So I wonder if that, and I tried to see if like any other changes occurred other than that word, and I didn't see any listed. So I'm wondering if like they just corrected that for the audiobook. Like maybe the person got in the booth to read it and they're like, oh.
Yeah. Oh, well, I would too. I'd be like, oh no.
And it said so casually. That's the part that's so weird about it.
And it said a lot. It said a lot in the first like a chapter. It's like, wow, Jesus, wow. Like the whole, I started reading it, and I told Kristina I was reading it, and I sent her a clip. Like, I sent her a screenshot of the page, and I was like, look at how they say Jesus. And then immediately turned the page, and I was like, Kristina! I was like, oh my God, Kristina, we can't read this book.
I do want to, because we are sort of bridging both the book and the movie at the same time, I'll go ahead and just give a little bit of background on the movie. So the Commitments movie was made 1991. It is a film that is co-produced between the it's made in Ireland, but also distributed in the USA and directed by Alan Parker, who also directed Angel's Ashes, and I didn't realize that. So that's kind of interesting. Yeah. And then the movie is mostly a bunch of unknowns. There's just like a couple people that you'll see like, oh, I've seen them in other things, but a lot of them, and I think it really works to have a bunch of unknowns. It's like it still has that type of edge that the book has in casting unknowns.
Oh yeah, it's one of those movies where you're like, wait a minute. I'm sorry. Are you telling me Catherine of Aragon? Yeah. That's her, like, singing? Like, I'm sorry, what? Yeah, that's Maria Doyle Kennedy, for those who didn't obsess over the Tudors numerous times.
And she's so pretty. It's like gorgeous. It's cool to see like the three of them, and they're younger and they're just so like un-Hollywoodized. Like they're just very like naturally pretty, and you know, when they get dressed up, they're all in like the black dresses, and they've got this little shaky like black eyeliner and the red lipstick. It's very believable.
Yeah. Every time I see her on screen, I forget she's in the movie.
Yeah, I know.
I was like, holy crap. Just as like, we've seen this movie before. I'm like, I know, but it's her. And I think this was the first time, actually, that Jesse and I had watched the movie since I tried to get him to start watching The Tudors. We're still on season 1, and we started in 2020. So there you go. So for him, it was exciting, too. He's like, I've seen her somewhere before. It was like, here we go. It was a very good moment for me. But she was already in a band.
Yes.
Which was interesting. And so was Glenn Hansard. He was also already in a band.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Yeah. It's like the entire cast looks like people, because it basically were a group of people they just pulled off the street. They did all these open auditions for these roles. But I think the thing that shocks me the most, the thing that shocks me to my absolute core when I think about this movie, okay? I don't know if you know where I'm going with this.
I don't know where you're going with this.
Andrew Strong, who plays Deco, looks like he's 23 years old.
Yeah.
He was 16.
I know. It is really crazy. And with his voice, it's really crazy. I remember him being 16, and when I looked up this time, I was like, holy shit.
Yeah. Yeah. He was 18 when the movie came out. He was 16 when he auditioned for this film. I'm sorry. This voice should not belong to a 16-year-old boy. It is physically impossible, right? Aren't you guys still going through the change? I don't know how puberty works in boys, apparently.
It's really cool, and this is like the thing I love about rock music, that like, you know, rock, soul, blues, like it just keeps going, like that you can have a front man or a front woman, and they don't have to be polished and tailored and look, you know, perfect. It's not like a pop star that has to be really good looking. Like you think about the greats, like Mick Jagger is not a good looking man, but he could have sex with anybody. So it, like, having this kid who looks like he's much older, he's not polished, he's got like very like Irish teeth, like he's no offense to Ireland, I'm Irish too.
I'll let you get away with that one because you are Irish. Only you can say.
I'm sorry. Okay, I'll keep going. So but he's making funny faces as he sings, and I don't care. It's just like that voice as it comes out is like this such a powerful soul meets like punk rock meets Ireland. Like, I don't know. It's just like, it's poetry.
Yeah. It's a gorgeous voice. And they even talk about, it's so weird how the characters in the movie are so much like who was written about in this book, because they mention numerous times Deco has a gift from God with his voice, and they all hate him and they think he's scum, but you could never get rid of somebody with a voice like that. And then you watch him in the movie and you're like, of course you can't get rid of him. That voice, if you're putting together a soul band, the first person I want is him.
Yeah.
Like, I don't care who plays the instruments, but this guy has it.
I did like when he finds him and he says, oh, I heard you sing. It was great. And he's like, where'd you hear me sing?
Yeah.
At the wedding? Oh.
Yeah. He talks about how drunk he was. He's like, oh.
Yeah, he didn't even remember singing.
It's so good. He is a dick though. Like he's a major dick in both the book and the movie. Yeah. I am upset, like, because this is my first time reading the book. I was upset that they didn't in the movie put the scene where at their first show, Jekko is swinging the microphone over his head and he whacks her in the back of the head with the microphone and she falls off the stage.
No, that's a really funny part. And I do kind of like in the movie too, like just how bumbling they are with things, just constantly bumbling, because I don't think that you'd see little mess ups like with the getting electrocuted.
Yeah. Oh my God.
It's pretty funny.
Well, and then the best part is how dry the comedy gets in the next scene when they're all at the hospital and they're like, was that the way the guy from AC/DC died? Yeah. Like, oh no, he choked on his own vomit. It was this guy. And it was just like, they're waiting for their friend to make sure that he's not dead. And they're just sitting there like going back and forth about how different musicians died. And it's brilliant.
Well, that's yet another thing that I kind of really like about the book and the movie. I love when writers have something that they really like, and I really tend to enjoy it when that thing happens to be something like music, like with High Fidelity, or even with directors like an Edgar Wright or a James Gunn, like these people who just really love music, and so their characters end up spouting, or Quentin Tarantino's like this with movies too, like their characters end up spouting these facts or this dialogue that they kind of have with themselves in their head. And I just love that because you feel the love. You feel the characters loving music and having a passion for it, because the writer does too. So the writer is speaking their truth in talking about these little niche things that they're really into. And so when it comes from the character, it feels legitimate. Yeah.
You, like you said, you literally understand these people. These are people that you know. And I think that's what really helps sell both the book and the movie. It's that you already know these people because it is like High Fidelity. Like, you walk into the record store and that's the person you know. Yeah. It's that guy who's obsessed with this set of music. I could definitely see a crossover. Hear me out. A crossover where it's like, it's towards like the middle of High Fidelity and you've got, Jimmy Rabbit inside the record store going through and buying like some soul records.
Yeah. Amazing.
I can see it happening. They all fit in the same world and it's brilliant.
I do like, and because I don't think that there is anything in the movie about this, but in the book there is a slight difference at the beginning where it's kind of like there's a band already, and then the main character in the movie kind of like perfects them, and he says he changes them from being like a synth band to being a soul band instead. And I think that's such a smart like switch for the band, because when you think about Dublin and you think about a bunch of kids from Dublin, synth is more like partying clubs,
very London.
Yeah, exactly. Like the UK house scene that would emerge in the 90s. Like that feels more over there, whereas soul music, there is like more. And he talks about it where it's about longing, it's about the working class people, it's about sex. And so that rings more true to them than something like synth music does.
It rings more true to me than synth music.
I know.
I'm old. I don't do synth, y'all.
I do.
I know you do.
My robots having sex. I love that music.
You guys, that's a free sample. Feel free to use it.
Our EP drop smart. Thank you.
We started our own band.
The page to screeners. The screeners. How about the screeners?
Because as we learned from this book, you got to have a "the" in front of your name.
It'll be the screeners with lead singer Nikki the Mouth. Yep. And on synth, Kristina the Sailor.
Is that what I said? Oh, Jesus. never going to stop doing it. I'm never going to stop saying it that way. Jesus.
And in the movie, it's cute because for the first time that you hear Mustang Sally out of like 50, when they're singing Ride Sally Ride, and he goes, no, it's ride. You don't sing with your accents. You're saying road.
Yeah. It's so, and that's like direct. I'm going to say, everybody, page to screen. It's and when I read it it's so interesting the way the book is written, because you end up reading everything as it's being, like, as it's spoken. So when he says to them, it's Royd, Sally, ride, not Royd, Sally, roid. And I was like, I couldn't stop laughing. The whole book, the way it's written is just because it hurts your tongue. Like, you're not reading out loud, but you know what you mean. Like, you're hearing it in your head, and you're like, what? Sorry, like, trying to figure out what they're trying to say. It is literally, this book needed subtitles, because
it's like Hagrid wrote a book.
Yes. I shouldn't have said that. Yes. Because it's like, and I think that's the other thing that I really loved about it, is that I'm not Irish. I don't have an Irish accent. Surprise. I don't have an Irish accent. But reading it in this way, I could feel like I was, a part of it.
Yeah.
I mean, it was fun. I was in a band for a little bit, you guys.
I think my biggest favorite takeaway is from the movie, because I thought that a lot of it just reminds me so much of the 1970s filmmaking, and how I think Ireland has its own character in the movie, and there's some just kind of gorgeous. Gorge of the Jungle, Gorge Clooney, Gorge C. Scott. There's some gorgeous shots in the movie of just the streets. Yeah. I mean, there's one shot where it's the main character and he's walking, and it's just, he's walking out of the rain into this alleyway, and the alleyway is all cobblestone and completely wet. And then you see the rain from behind him, and it just feels like you're there. It feels like you're in the city, you're walking the streets. I can hear the rain, I can smell it. And it's just when a director is able to make a location be a character and a location to be alive, it's not when you see all the time. It's not like New York. New York is very easy, but it's a place that you don't see as often in movies. And I just loved living in that and experiencing it for 2 hours.
Well, I loved how the scenery really changed with the band, because that scene that you're talking about, I think, is at the end when the band breaks up. And they just did their balls to the wall, most amazing concert ever. Yeah. And they're at their height. But when you go back to the beginning and they're taking their first ever photo together, and they're standing in that empty lot, and it's all trash, and it looks like they're standing by like what used to be a burnt out building. Yeah. It's you can see as they moved up in the music world, things got a little cleaner, just like they did. And I think that's really interesting that that they were able to incorporate something so minor to help you understand this is the highest you can be. Yeah. And it is really beautifully shot. All the scenes of them, I love that there is a shift in the filming between when they're acting in the studio space and they're rehearsing, or they're out on the street, and then when they're in the clubs performing. Yeah. It's very documentary when they're performing. And it's so, it's very interesting. I really like that. You feel the grit.
This made me miss going to shows so much. Yeah. Because before pandemic times, I would go to a show at least a few times a year. And before I got married and I started working at the job I work now, I went to a shit ton of shows all the time. And it's just with life and everything, you can't go I can't go now to a show at 11 o'clock on a Tuesday like I could back in the day, you know what I mean? Like, yeah. I've got to go to sleepy buys. So but I still love like the feeling that you get in a small venue with just a band on the stage. And it's like a different feeling than when you're in a larger, you know, like a big fairgrounds kind of event. Like when you have these smaller intimate ones, there's just a magic that happens. And I think that they got that magic in the movie really well, where you've just got the energy of the band and it's good music. I think the fact that it's soul music is very special and it's different. Mm-hmm. And you just have a crowd experiencing something magical happening on stage that you'll never be able to truly explain to someone else later on in life.
Yeah. It's like a moment in time, like frozen in amber, you know? It's, and it's, it felt like you were there.
Yeah.
I wanted to be there. Like,
I know, I did too.
I was like, I'll stand in a crowded room. Like, I could smell the stale beer in those scenes.
Exactly. Yeah, you can smell the beer on the ground. You can smell like a little bit of that like musky wood kind of scent. Yeah.
Like, I felt my feet stuck to the floor. You know what I mean? Like, the stickiness. Oh my God. And then I haven't yearned for that. In an extremely long time. I am old. I don't hang out with the cool kids, you know? But this is something that I would like bust down a door to go to. I'm like, take my money. And what I really love about that final performance is the shift between backstage and on stage. And it's done so well and it's so funny. Like, so but this is a bigger shift too. This is a bigger shift from the book. In the book, the girls who had their names changed for stage presence. I
know. The name change for the girls is so funny to be the commitmentettes.
Yeah. The commitmentettes in both the book and the movie are both, like, they're all screwing around with Joey the Lips, who is the oldest guy.
Yeah.
And they constantly talk about it. And he claims to have played with a lot of people. I'm going to ask you a question about that after. He claims to have played with all of these people, blah, blah, blah. But in the book, the girls, they're fine. And they're like, oh, so-and-so, like, Nancy's one day, and, you know, Bernie's the next, and Imelda. And it's... Imelda. But, like, they're never mad at each other about it. And they admit at the end of the book that they were just fooling around. They were trying to get a rise out of him.
Yeah.
Like, they made a pact with themselves to see who could get with him, and all three of them could. And then one of them joked a terrible joke about being pregnant, and then Joey the Lips fled back to America, as any man would do, I guess, and given the situation. But no, apologies. But
can I just like stop you there real quick? It was funny because I had listened to this and almost like right after, it was like the next day, I had the TV on and it was just like on. I wasn't really watching it, but it was the episode of The Office when it's Phyllis's wedding. And Kelly Kapoor says to Pam, like, oh, I would be so upset if I were you that she stole all of my wedding ideas. I'd be so upset that I would get drunk and go tell someone that I'm pregnant just for the attention. And I overheard that line and I just started laughing because it's a funny line, but it was weird because it was like the next day. I'm like, why are all these bitches lying about being pregnant? Like, way to make us sound crazy, guys.
Yeah, why? Come on, writers. Not all women are weird. Like, come on, we're not.
We have so many other things we can lie about.
Yeah, like not being a serial killer.
Yeah. Wait, what?
Huh? Anyways, what? So.
Yeah, what were you saying?
Yeah, about the... no, but with the movie, they do a bigger shift, because I feel like, you know, you have to inject a little bit more drama, where the girls don't realize that all three of them are screwing around with Joey the Lips. Like, they all kind of know, but they're all doing it real sly. And then it turns into this big backstage drama at their final show, where they're screaming and yelling at each other about how all three of them... like, who's dating Joey and all this stuff. And then all the guys are mad because Joey's dating all of the girls. And it's crazy. And then all of a sudden it's showtime and they walk out and they're all smiling at each other. And they're dancing and they're singing. They're having a great time. And then they go backstage and they're, like, ripping each other's heads off. It is done so well. It is so funny.
Yeah.
like, just to watch the consistent shift. Like, they go backstage afterwards, and Wilson Pickett was supposed to perform with them, and he never showed up, and they're all mad at Jimmy about that. And then Jimmy, like, they're all screaming and yelling at each other, and Jimmy's like, well, are you going to go on for an encore or not? And then they all walk out, and it's like, hey, guys. It's so good. Like, I think that's probably, like, one of my favorite scenes is that whole ending segment with them. The shift between onstage and offstage. It's, because you know what? You've probably had those experiences too. Yeah. Like, in theater, you're on stage with people that you really hate. Yeah. No offense, people. Some of you guys suck. But then you go backstage and you're just like, oh, God, I hate them so much. You ignore them. You don't want to talk to them.
Well, and there's also the magic of performance where you can be frenemies with someone. You can, like, really not like someone, but then still recognize that they have talent. So it's like you have to be kind of nice to them on stage because they are, in fact, talented, but you hate the living shit out of them.
Well, Deco does a really good job of showing that when the girls go to sing and he's just sitting there on the side and he's got that stank face. Cracks me up. He's like so mad that they're taking away his time, but he knows that they're good.
I like in the when they're backstage and he's like, they're my fans.
Yeah.
Didn't take long for that to get to his head.
Oh my God, when he gets beat up at the end and that woman still wants his autograph, he's like dripping in blood.
I love that part. And I laughed out loud. I had Grayson, my dog, sleeping next to me, and I laughed out loud at that part, and I woke him up. Because he's just like, he looks nasty. Like, he's just got blood dripping down his face.
He looks so gross. He looks so gross. And now it's weirder to think about it. Like, he's 16. Yeah. Maybe 17 at that point. Ugh. But my big question for you is about Jimmy the Lips.
Yes.
Because the movie takes a harder stance on this than the book does. Mm-hmm. He tells like Jimmy and who else, Outspan and all of them that he was this really big jazz soul person, like he played with all the greats. And he lists off all of these names. And he is a good player. Everyone knows that. He's listing off all of these names. He says he's played with, like, the Beatles, Yeah. And at the end of the book and at the end of the movie, he goes back to America. And he says he's going on tour with this artist. And, our main narrator, Jimmy, is like, oh, but you know what's real interesting is I recall hearing that he died in 1984. Yeah. So, and that's where they leave it with the Lips in the book. Mm-hmm. In the movie, in addition to all of that stuff, he also says that he played with Wilson Pickett and that he was going to, they go to the hotel to talk to Wilson Pickett. And he's like, I'll get him to come and he can jam with us, blah, blah, blah. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the movie, when Jimmy Rabbit's walking through the streets, the limo pulls up and the guy asks him where this club, and he's like, oh, but it's closed. And the guy turns around and he goes, well, do you want to go back to the hotel, Mr. Pickett? Yeah. So I guess my question to you is, like, is the Lips a liar?
I think the Lips is not a liar. He comes off to me as the guy that all of us have met who could have been something at some point and for whatever reason is not. And so those like type of guys, usually there is some sort of truth in what they're saying, but it's usually not all truth. It's like, yeah, maybe he supported so-and-so 20 years ago, but did he support all these people? I don't think so. Like, yeah. I think like those guys tend to bolster themselves up higher than is the truth, but there's still some like truth there. You know what I mean? Yeah. No, I get it. I feel like it's just such a weird, it's weird in the book. Yeah, like in the book because it's just so open-ended and it just ends right there with them saying like the guy he just said he was going on tour with is dead. So you're like, did he lie about everything? Because there is no scene with Wilson Pickett. There is no confirmation of his knowledge of these other people.
like there is in the movie. And I feel like the movie redeems him a little bit.
No, and there's something about him in the movie where he is another Jiminy Cricket. Like, he's almost kind of helping, get the band together. He has this magical line at the end. He's the one that says the thing about it's more poetic this way. Like, he's definitely, and it's funny when he shows up with the different ladies in the movie, because you really don't get the sense that he's like a dog. Like, he doesn't come off like just a womanizer. It's definitely softer on him in the movie.
Well, in the book, I think the funniest thing about the book is with those women, he's like, I don't want to be with them. He's like trying to hide from them in the book, because like he's like, I don't know why they're doing this to me, and I just want them all to leave me alone.
But I like that. It makes them like have a little bit more agency, and it's kind of funny that they're doing that.
Yes. I feel like the three women in the book are stronger characters than they are in the movie.
Yeah, no, I agree.
Especially when we get to the end. Like, I guess there's a little bit of a shift or whatever. But like, Imelda ends up marrying this guy who's just... Was it Imelda? Yeah. Imelda ends up marrying that guy who's just kind of like awful to her.
Yeah.
Throughout the entire film. And it's kind of like... Yeah. Why would you have her do that? Like, can't you have her not? Like, because at the end of the book, the band is broken up. They had a record deal. It's so heartbreaking in the book.
I know. It's definitely like a harder punch in the book.
Because Jimmy is talking to this A&R guy who wants them to sing a song that isn't included in the movie. And he wants them to sing it. He wants the A side to be them in the studio. The B side is them live. He's so excited. He's like, the next day we'll meet. We'll sign the papers. He goes backstage and realizes that the band is broken up while he's been brokering this deal. And then he kind of goes into a depression for a few days and doesn't talk to anybody.
Yeah.
They miss out on this deal. The band's completely broken up. But at the end of the book, he gets back with like Outspan and the other guy. Is it Dean? The saxophonist, I think.
Yeah.
He gets back with them. Oh, and Micah. Micah, the weird, like, I don't want to call him a skinhead, but like, very violent guy.
Violent is a good word.
Yes, the very violent guy. He gets those three back together. They decide to form another band, this time country western. But then at the end, they want the three girls back too, to sing with them. I think that was a better ending.
Nice, because at the beginning, they're kind of making fun of them when they first show up, and they're sort of like just treating them like they're hot and that's it.
Yeah, and then at the end, for them to be like, we need them in our group, it's brilliant. Mm-hmm. And I wish that there was more of that to the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Because to have these female characters who are so... They have full ownership of themselves to the point where they are all screwing around with Joey the Lips.
Yeah.
And then in the movie to have it kind of watered down, know, I mean, one of them ends up in that country western band from the book. And then you have Natalie, Maria Doyle Kennedy, going like, I guess, solo as a performer. But then you have the other one who just married the dopey guy. It was upsetting.
I heard you enjoy saying Maria Doyle Kennedy's name.
I really do. I really do. She's a queen, literally. She's a queen. Queen Catherine.
Or she just plays one on TV.
Listen, who am I to judge? But it's just one of those things where it's just like, oh, I wish there was a way for all three women. I wish that the three women weren't arguing about a man in the movie.
Yeah.
Because it's so simple to have that be a problem among female friends.
Yeah.
And I also wish that Imelda didn't marry the dopey guy. Those are my only two changes that I would probably make to the movie.
I do like that with the movie, you get a little bit more insight on just like day-to-day life, and when you see the house that has like how many kids, like 7 kids,
oh my God,
and the mom's pregnant again, like that does give a little bit more weight to what their lives are like day to day than I think the book does.
Yeah, you definitely understand why they would want to join a band.
And why soul music is so perfect for a fit in a music genre for what they're doing.
Yes. Do you have a favorite song? Let me guess. It's
really.
Mustang Sally.
I really like this soundtrack just altogether. It was one that my mom had on CD, and I remember my parents playing it a lot just because it's a pretty good soundtrack, and there's like a magic with soundtracks in movies that is now starting to make a comeback, but with like playlist basically movies and TV shows. But the soundtrack for this movie is like pretty fucking stellar.
It is. There's not a single song that I skip.
Yeah.
When I listen to it, and that's a lot. That says a lot coming from me.
Well, it's one that I put on random, like on my way home, the other day.
And what's great about it too? What's great about these sort of films where there's it's songs that you know.
It's so many songs that you know, but ones that you won't necessarily like pull up to listen to.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Exactly. It's not like I'm going to. Or if I'm going to pull it up to listen to it, I'm not going to listen to their version right away.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. It's like,
yeah.
It's like, oh, I'll listen to the actual version. But it's just like every single song is about, and you want them to be a real band. Like when they're doing Try a Little Tenderness.
I love that song.
The opening to that is just like, oh my God, it gets like under your skin and you're just like in it. And then when you see it on screen, you're like, that was the main moment where I was like, if I can't be in this bar with these people right now, it's like, I'm about ready to pull an Alice in Wonderland and jump through my TV. Just to
there's some songs, in every genre, there's like some songs where you listen to it and you go, God, that's a good fucking song.
Yeah.
And so many of them are ones that I won't necessarily listen to all the time. Like they're not necessarily on my favorites playlist, but there's still ones that I go, God, that's good. And like one of them that they play in the movie is Nights in White Satin. Like I never listened to that song, but I just hear a couple bars. I'm like, oh, fucking love this song.
Yeah. And that's what's so great about this is you're just like, oh man, I completely forgot this song existed. I need to listen to it 10 times in a row. Get obsessed with it again. And then you're like, okay, I'll put it away. And then a year from now, you're going to be like, yes. Just jamming in your car.
Can I say one thing? And I feel like I'm going to sound mean for the second time on this podcast right now. I didn't like that lady, the older lady with the blonde hair and the red lipstick. She kind of scared me.
Wait, which older lady? Joey Lips' mom?
Yeah, and she just kind of like sits there smiling sometimes, like the chick in Dead Silence. I didn't like it.
Well, what's weird is that she's not in the book.
Why did they create her? She scares me. She's just sitting there in the dark, like just sitting.
She's just sitting and enjoying her life. Yeah, because that was the weird thing about the movie is that they added her when they didn't need to. They added some extra characters that they really didn't need to. But
because there's already a nice group of a collection of characters.
I understand expanding their world, but Joey's story was that he was just living at his mom's house. She's not actually around. Mm-hmm. The most that we see of his mom's house is the garage, which was weird because then when you see the movie, I don't know, this is so really bad. Do I not know what a garage is in other countries? Like, you know what I mean? Like, they end up going to his shed that's over a garden wall. And I was like...
It's so privileged white American girls of us. Like, do they have garages in other countries?
Yeah. Like a car park?
Where do you put your second refrigerator?
Okay, listen, that's a real bougie thing, having a second refrigerator. Let me tell you, I did not. I still do not. So you, Kristina, having 2 refrigerators, have fun with it.
I didn't have a second refrigerator growing up. I just have one now.
Yeah, now you're bougie.
It's filled with beverages.
You're core to the jungle.
Well, when you come over to my house, I will try not to let my bouginess interfere with me going, oh, why don't you go get yourself a beverage from the second refrigerator, Nikki?
I hope you refer to your second refrigerator as your R2 unit.
I actually do.
The
new one looks really nice and it's very shiny. It's like a really shiny brushed nickel. So that's Mando. And then Refrigerator 2 is in fact referred to as R2.
I love it.
No lie.
I love it. I'm so happy right now. I feel like I'm giving you a hug through the podcast right now.
You thought I missed an opportunity for some wordplay? I did not.
I should have known better. With someone like you, I should have known better. You put me in my place.
I do. The only thing I need to do to make it better is I need to get one of those, they have magnetic restraining bolts like they put in R2, and I definitely need that. Like, oh, it's the only, we need it because how else is he not going to run away?
You need some vinyl. I can print you out some fun vinyl stickers to make it look a little bit more authentic.
Oh, there you go. There you go.
Merry Christmas, Kristina. Send me the dimensions. Merry Christmas.
It's February.
Yeah, it's going to take me a while, Kristina. I've got a very small machine and a refrigerator's really big. God, Kristina.
Oh, wait, I'm so dumb. I thought you meant for the restraining bolt. I didn't realize it was the whole refrigerator.
Yeah. God, Kristina.
Damn, that's a big ass R2.
You've been Honey, I Shrunk You.
That will definitely take you all year.
Yes. When you were looking up stuff about the movie, did you see that they plan to do a sequel?
I did. I saw that they plan to do a sequel. I saw that there's the musical and that there is in fact 2 other movies that fall within like the same world, although they're not necessarily like direct sequels.
Yes. I would definitely read the rest of the book series.
It sounds similar. It sounds similar in the idea that it's like little pieces of these characters' lives.
Yeah. Well, they follow the rabbit family. Mm-hmm. So it's just Jimmy's family. And I took a quick look at the books. And so the commitment starts it all. The second book is called The Snapper, and it's about his sister. Mm-hmm. And then the third book is, do you want me to tell you a little bit more? Like, The Snapper is about his sister, and she's
pregnant, right?
Yeah, she's pregnant, but won't tell anyone who the father is. And then The Van is about his dad losing his job and buying a fish and chip van.
This, by the way, this made me want fish and chips so fucking bad. I would eat the shit out of fish and chips right now.
When he asked for chips from the van from her, and she's like, "You want salt and vinegar?" I was like, if he says no right now, I'll slap him. I was like, "No, I want French fries with salt and vinegar."
And they look so good, and it looks like a cold night just walking around the streets of Dublin eating fish and chips. Oh my god.
Well, you can eat the fish. I'll eat the chips.
Oh, that's right, because you'll die.
Yeah. So with the sequel though, you'll die. With the sequel to the movie, I'm actually glad they didn't do one.
Yeah.
It was because Harvey Weinstein bought the rights to the film in 2020. Well, the film rights to the novel. He bought it for Miramax. And then they decided not to go forward with it. And it was supposed to be like the different band members were all in different bands and they were going to meet up in New York City. Yeah.
And I hate that. Like, I hate when because it takes them out of one of the things that makes the book and the movie so charming.
Yeah. Like, I don't want to, we literally just said this. I don't want to see them any higher than we saw them. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't want them selling me stuff on Instagram. I don't want them to be influencers. I don't need to see photos of everything they eat. And I don't want them to be like real dicks. Deco dickness is the height of dickness that I want to see this band get to. Yeah. Like, they're perfect the way they are.
Yeah, because the deco dickness is still on like the petty scale. It's not on the actually destructive to himself and to others actively.
Yeah, not yet anyways.
Not yet. It will happen, but it's not there yet.
Yeah, he'll get there. He'll get there. Just
don't you worry.
We'll give him some time.
Just gotta stew a little bit.
But have you seen the movie once or seen the musical once?
This movie I watched when I was a kid, and I really didn't remember it. This time around watching it, it felt like the first time.
Yeah. It does. It feels like the first time. That song is not in the movie, everybody. It's not in the movie. I want to see this musical. I want to see it so bad. I love when they turn these into musicals.
This would make a great musical. This is like, it's got all of the ingredients for a really good musical, even the ending. It's like a nice beginning, nice ending. It's perfect for a musical.
Yeah. Where was I going with this? Glenn Hansard, who is in this movie. Did you read the trivia about him? About what they think? No. Okay. I'm 100% into this conspiracy theory situation.
Oh, wait. Yes, I did.
Yeah. I'm 100% into it because...
I know exactly what you're about to talk about. I misspoke.
After watching this, I went on YouTube and watched the opening. Okay, here we go, people. So there is this unconfirmed theory going around that the character that Glenn Hansard plays in The Commitments, his name is Outspan Foster, is actually the younger version of the guy from Once. And I 100% agree with this after having watched the opening to Once again after I finished watching The Commitments. Because at the end of The Commitments, Outspan is busking on the street with a friend in front of a storefront, and he's playing like his guitar, blah, 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 whatever. The literal opening to Once, I'm 100% certain he's on the same street. It looks I mean, I don't want to say every place looks the same, but he's out on the street busking, playing a song on his guitar right at the beginning of Once before he gets like robbed and then he chases the guy down the street. It is so eerily similar that I am 100% in on this conspiracy theory, and I just need someone, Glenn Hansard. Glenn. I just need Glenn to confirm it.
See, this is where I'm embarrassed to say, but I have actually never watched Once.
You need to. First of all, it is a brilliant film.
Yeah.
It is gorgeous.
I remember everybody loving it when it came out, and like all of my friends watched it and loved it, so I don't know why I didn't.
You should. You know what? There's something on TV today that you and I aren't interested in. You should. That's going to give away how soon we record these episodes. You should watch Once, because if you liked The Commitments, you'll like Once. It's sort of the same idea around these working class people who know they have more. Yeah. And it's not a traditional, especially because we're almost, I don't want to say we're almost near Valentine's Day. That also really gives away when we're recording this stuff. But sorry about it, everybody. But there's this kind of love story there, but it goes deeper than that.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I could talk about Once forever, and it's not a book, so we can't. But I want to talk about it.
I have a weird question for you.
Yeah.
How would you compare Once to La La Land?
Throw one in the trash. Listen, I have strong feelings about La La Land. I understand why people really enjoyed it. It brought back the Hollywood cinematic, idea of what a musical should be. It's fun, it's bright, it's bubbly. I would prefer Once every day of the week. I would watch Once if someone came up for every time someone saw La La Land, I would watch Once. And I'd be fine with it. Because it's so low budget that you think it's going to be crap. Like, it's shot kind of like all those scenes in The Commitments where it's kind of like them playing as a band, it's kind of gritty. That is like the whole shooting style for Once.
I've been thinking about that a lot recently, because recently the Book of Boba, again, we're timing ourselves too much. We're narking ourselves. Book of Boba recently ended, and yeah, don't worry, I'm not going to say anything.
I'm not cut up
watching it. Whereas I'm the freak that wakes up at 3:00 in the morning to watch each episode. I saw a lot of critiques for it, saying that they tried to shoot it on a budget, and it looks like it's on a budget. I appreciate watching something, and I know that they tried to be on budget. And I really like watching movies like The Commitments that have a small budget and are able to do so much with it. And you see the limitations. You see where, yeah, things look kind of literally gritty. Like, literally, it's just the lighting isn't as good in a scene. The film isn't, like, but it looks good. It should look that way. When she's in the room with 8 babies and one's on the way, it should not look like it's shot like this beautiful Technicolor film. It just shouldn't. And I really appreciate that. And I like low budget indie movies to see like what they can do. Like, I know Once was smaller, but I tend to like small sometimes.
Yeah, and I think that's why you'll like Once. Yeah. It is a like, I believe the theory. It's a continuation. It's just taking one person out from that film and putting it into another world. And I honestly, and it's another film where at the end, it's kind of open-ended and I don't want a sequel. I don't want any more. Yeah. I just want it. Yeah. And if you ever have the opportunity to see the musical for it, 100% take that shot. Go see the musical. So good. Oh my God, I'm just going to talk about it forever. Oh my God, I should watch it when this is over. The music is so good. It's just so fun. And if anybody out there is going to listen to this and they like Glenn Hansard, first of all, I have seen him perform live. He does play. Actually, I've seen him perform like multiple times. Way more than Jesse, who really loves Once more than I do. So he's going to listen to this and be like mad and cut it out. But he performs a lot of the songs, you know, from Once when he performs. But he also does like all of his own music, and his music is very. Kristina has a way of talking about the music that I like.
Oh, you mean a sad boy with a guitar and a mountain singing?
Yeah, but it's more like Commitment style, soulful, gritty.
Sometimes I'll be on like Spotify, which I know is the like not good, but I'll be on Spotify and it'll send me like, oh, you might like this coffee house playlist. Oh, okay, let me listen to this. What the fuck is this shit of these sad boys on mountains and these girls with guitars and ukuleles with light voices? Like, this is some Nikki stuff right here.
Way harsh, Ty. Way harsh.
And then I'm like, oh, is that a fax machine that's broken? Man, that's a good beat. What's that?
When Kristina and I did the blended playlist.
At least we agree on like Disney music and Star Wars theme songs.
It was 90% Disney, and then it was like 9 Inch Nails, some Taylor Swift, some John Mayer, and then more techno-y types like versions. I think
we had like some Madonna. There were some like legit crossovers. There's Lady Gaga, Madonna. Some of like the pop stuff was there,
but a majority of it was Disney. Like 90% of it was Disney. Which was so great. And then it gives you this thing where it says like your number one song together, and it was like from Coco. Yeah. It was like,
that was a weird playlist.
That makes sense. That definitely makes sense for us. Like, this works. Oh goodness. So yeah, do you have anything else you want to say about The Commitments?
I've got one last thing to say. That I told you I had the closed captioning on, and at one point my husband just made an entrance and an exit, and all he said was he looked at the closed captioning and it said indistinctive chatter, and he said indistinctive chatter should be the name of this movie because I don't know what they're saying. And I laughed so hard I had to rewind the movie because I thought that was pretty good. Indistinctive chatter.
That's going to be the subtitle for this episode. For all of our episodes. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I guess it's time for this was so much easier when it was the first episode of the new year. We only had one book.
I think I know.
Okay. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the podcast will be right back after this short break to figure out where we're putting this book on our book list. Burr, burr, burr. After a very extended break to talk about everything but this list, everybody, we have come back with the updated book list. In spot number 1 is still Cinderella. Gotta love her. And number 2, The Commitments. And number 3, Bridget Jones. And number 4, Have Stella Got Her Groove Back.
Yeah, I think that sounds like a list.
And then
I almost want us to do a not good adaptation because I almost feel bad with Stella being low because it's not necessarily like an awful adaptation. It's just the other ones are better, you know?
Yeah. The other ones offer a little bit more, if that makes sense. Like,
yeah, it just like the last year, the bottom was such a bottom that I didn't feel bad.
A power
but
bottom?
This year, I almost feel a little bad.
It was a power bottom, Kristina. I know. I'm waiting for whatever comes next to be below Stella. Really, really waiting for it because I didn't hate Stella. I really liked it.
No, I didn't either.
Do we have too many good picks this year?
Maybe. Yeah, because I'm looking at what we have planned for this year and it looks like it's going to be a pretty fun year. I don't see any of these like completely falling flat.
Oh, maybe the anniversary show.
But hey, who knows?
Yeah.
Someone might let me down.
Dun, dun, dun. Well, Kristina, do you want to tell the people what we decided to do next?
Oh, I am very excited. We are going to take a dive into the world of James Bond.
I am also excited. I am shaken and not stirred.
Yeah, I mean, never say never. We are now on our magistries.
Yeah.
We are in our magistries secret service.
And that comes from Russia with love, everybody.
Got no time to die.
No time. We're going to do... Next month is a special month. We are doing Battle of the Bonds. Pew, pew. It's me shooting guns.
Can we say both that we're doing?
Yeah, I say we should. Let's do it.
Yeah, we can do whatever we want to do.
Yeah, it's our podcast. Why did I just say it like that?
We're looking at both. So we're going to be doing Dr. No and also Casino Royale. So we get to see, what people say are the two best Bonds. So that is Sean Connery and Daniel Craig. And Nikki and I are well versed in Bondisms. We are. You and I both grew up watching Bond, so this isn't like we're jumping in unbeknownst to us about what's going to happen.
Yeah, he's not all of a sudden going to start shooting someone and I go, what?
How dare he slap that woman around?
Yeah. What is her name? What galore? I'm clutching my pearls.
My name is Ida. Ida Muff.
No, I am so excited to do these because Kristina just did what Jesse and I just did, where we watched all of the Daniel Craig James Bonds. And, I mean, we have thoughts.
I really enjoyed doing that, but I've been very curious about the books and like the ones that we're doing between Casino Royale and Dr. No, because I did some quick research. I think they're like fine to read standalone, but there's more continuity in the books, I believe, than compared to the prior movies pre Daniel Craig. So I'm kind of interested to see if like we see any of that in the two, because the two we're doing aren't necessarily like the continuity heavy ones, but I bet that there still will be some. So that'll be fun.
Yeah, I'm excited. Oh, it's going to be so much fun. Oh, I'll have to make a martini. I actually have a book. It's called Shaken, and it's called Drinking. The subtitle is Drinking with James Bond and Ian Fleming. So looks like I have to get my drink on. Oops. Oh my God, I'm going to make so many Vespers. Oh my God. I'm going to...
Vespa.
Vespa. Oh my God. My favorite... Can I just say... just one more thing about James Bond. My favorite part about watching James Bond, like the Daniel Craig ones, is Jesse has been to a lot of places. Mm-hmm. And he's traveled a lot with his family. And we'll be watching something and he'll go, I've been there.
Just a quiet brag.
I know where that is. Oh, where are they? Morocco? Oh, interesting.
How interesting. I've been there. Been there, done that.
Well, and it gets really funny too, like when they show Italy and he's like, I think you've been there too. Do you remember that one?
You didn't even know.
I'm like, I don't need to brag. We're on the couch together. Of course we've both been there. But I'm so
He's like the meme of Leonardo DiCaprio pointing at the TV.
Yes.
Just constantly.
Yes. I've been there. I know that place. That's literally how he does it too. Oh, I'm so excited. It's gonna be fun. I'm excited. Oh.
Yeah, I'm excited. It's I like that we've had a few in a row that I'm not too sure what I'm getting into.
Yeah.
So that I like being curious about things.
Yeah, we got the switch 'em ups.
Yeah.
So everyone get your license to kill ready because we are.
Oh, Jesus. Please don't kill anybody.
Please don't kill anybody, but just find it in case you need it. I don't know what the rules are anymore, okay? God. Jesus.
I'm doing the best that I can.
I'm trying my hardest here. But with that, thank you all again for listening. Don't forget to rate, review, subscribe, follow us on Instagram and Twitter. Do people still use Twitter? I use Twitter.
You use it, and that's all that matters.
That's right. Fight me. No, sorry. Thank you guys for listening. Please don't fight me. And thanks again, as always, to Jesse for...
Yes, thank you, Jesse.
Yeah, he makes us sound good. Thanks to you, Kristina.
Thank you to you, Nikki the Mouth.
I love these names. They're so stupid, but they're so good. I can't wait to join you on our James Bond adventure.
Yes, it will definitely be different to go from a couple little street kids in Dublin wanting to do a band to a man who's killing people. Yeah. So it's definitely a change of tune.
Yeah. Well, Kristina, until next time.
Until then.
Bye.